Hey, it's Carolyn with another Curious Videos mini lesson about drawing the torso using the bean. The bean is a really useful concept to clarify what's happening in between the rib cage and the pelvis in that squishy midsection. How does that get affected? So let me show you first how I apply this concept in action. You usually use it for quicker poses, like a quick sketch 2-minute pose. Here I'm laying in my linear gesture, kind of figuring out where the limbs are, and then I go to put in what are called the three major masses: the rib cage egg, the pelvis egg, and notice how I'm already starting to deal with what is a compressed side and what is a stretched side. Now the next step I will work on is finding center lines to orient the turn of the ribcage in space. And if I have time, I'll work on the head and orienting that as well. Here I'm putting the clavicles in for some extra landmarks. I put in the belly button. But now I'm testing out on the side. Do I need a compression like this? Or, here's the second version, do I need a compression like that? So what has changed is the overlap. And I look at the two, decide which one I like better, and that's what I'm opting for. So let's look at the different movements that the bean can translate. And you'll have to excuse my headphones. You can translate a left to right lean, so that means a windshield wiper movement is the torso leaning left or right, which results in a compression in a stretched side. Then you can indicate whether the torso is leaning in and out of the picture plane, meaning if it's angling at you or away from you, by carefully overlapping your rib cage egg with the pelvis egg. So, and again, the thing that makes it clear is that overlap right here. Which line is in front of which? We call this tilt. So tilting in and out of the picture plane, and you can reinforce it with a center line as well. Now the next element is probably the most tricky one, and that's when there's a twist. A twist occurs when the shoulders are facing into a different direction as your frontal hip bones. So I go step by step. I begin by placing my rib cage egg and my pelvis egg. I notice if there is an overlap between the two, and then I go to check out what my center lines are doing. So this is one option where you see the center line on the top portion, but then it disappears on the bottom portion. That combined with that overlap, you got a successful twist. But then twists also show up differently. So here is another version of what that could look like. So I first place my ribcage egg, then my pelvis egg, seeking out if there's a stretch or compression, and then I look, where's my center line and how does it change? You notice how the center line doesn't look like a C curve, it looks more like an S curve. That S curve in your center line automatically will translate a twist. If you pair that with a well-placed overlap, see how the rib cage is overlapping the pelvis segment there, you got a different kind of twist. Now the next torso movement that the bean is really useful for is when the torso is coming very strongly at you or moving very severely away from you. What happens in that scenario is that what used to look like an egg with a certain amount of length now is visually foreshortened or visually distorted into a more circular shape. And you can indicate that foreshortening. And so eggs turn into spheres when they're coming severely at us. So these are the 4 different types of movement that we can translate with the bean very quickly if you're dealing with a quick sketch situation. If you want to practice this, join me for my Facebook Live, which is happening Saturday, 11 a.m. I'd love to see you there. Bye.